My name is Hart Viges. I joined the Army right after September 11th and asked for airborne, asked for infantry. Ended up with 82nd Airborne Division, 1st 325 HHC, Battalion Mortars, Hunters in the Sky, Death from Above. And went in November 2001 and left the Army in December 2004. I was deployed to Kuwait in February 2003 and subsequently was part of the invasion in March. Originally, we were going to jump inside Baghdad airport, but 3rd ID was ahead of schedule, so we drove in and secured this town that was hitting the supply line. It's a town called Osamawa. This was my first experience with the job that I was trained to do. You know, I was a mortarman, 81 millimeter mortar. We were set up outside the town of Osamawa in basically a dump. Flies were so heavy you couldn't eat. When the sun was up, you'd eat a mouthful of flies with your MRE pudding. But what I saw there, you know, more so even what I participated in, you know, hearing the radio calls over for the line companies that are in trouble, or they spot some people go into a building. So we get that fire mission and we destroy the building with our mortars. I set the timers, I set the rounds, the charges for the mortars. I was part of that team that sent those rounds downrange. And you know, this isn't army to army. You know, people live in towns. It's beyond imagination to think that normal people, civilians, don't live in towns. This is upside down thinking. So I never really saw the effects of my mortar rounds in the towns. So that just leaves my imagination open to countless deaths that I don't know how many civilians, innocents I've killed, helped kill. Another big piece of weaponry that they used on this little town of Osamawa was called a Spectre gunship. It's a C-130 with belt-fed howitzer cannons, 2 of those, and some like super Gatling guns. I wouldn't know the proper nomenclature for that. And they would sweep around Osamawa, just pounding the city. And this is definitely a sight to be seen, this airplane. I mean, it's almost, even though the rounds are coming from up in the sky, it's almost like the ground is shaking. And again, over the city, over neighborhoods, Kiowa attack helicopters with their Hellfire missiles. You know, F-18s dropping bombs that would shake you to the bone. All the while I was laying down mortar fire on this town full of people. And the radio was always never a good thing came over the radio. One time they said that to fire on all taxi cabs because the enemy was using them for transportation. And in Iraq, any car can be a taxi cab. You just paint it white and orange, and there you have it. And one of the snipers across the radio replied back, "Excuse me, did I hear that right? Fire on all taxi cabs?" The Lieutenant Colonel replied back, like, "You heard me, trooper, fire on all taxi cabs." And once that conversation ended, the town pretty much lit up. All the units that were in there fired on numerous cars. Again, you know, people, where's the real proof? This was my first experience with war. That really kind of set the tone for the rest of the deployment. Then I went to Fallujah for a couple of weeks, and our Charlie company picked a fight there, and so we had to skip out. My Fallujah story is not like other Fallujah stories. I was out in this resort area that got stripped up, that we took over, and had my weapon 30 meters away from me working on my tan in a man-made lake. But hearing the stories come back from inside town. And then we went to Baghdad and pretty much ran that town into the ground. You know, there was no real structure there, no police, no authority except for us, and we took full advantage of that in the treatment of the people, and just overall viewpoints. I mean, myself, I never really considered myself a racist person, but everything was Haji this, Haji that, Haji smokes, Haji burger, Haji house, Haji clothes, Haji rag. Haji's the same as honky. It's the same thing, but I had to catch myself. And then with raids, we never went on a raid where we got the right house, much less the right person. Not once.